Welcome to Comtrack, where you'll never have to watch a movie alone again. I'm your host, Tim Lifite, and joining me, as always, Sean Wheeler.
As always, I'm happy to be here.
And happy Thanksgiving to all of y'all out there. We're airing that I mean, granted, we're recording this like mid-October, but right now, to you, the listener, it is in fact Thanksgiving, or it's just a whole different day and not Thanksgiving. And you happen to be, but we're publishing this on Thanksgiving. Point is, this is our Thanksgiving special to you. The trip to Chicago to get home for Thanksgiving from hell movie for the year of hell that we've had. John Hughes, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, this one's real classic, real classic. And this is also real special for me because I used to live in Chicago. I grew up in the Chicagoland area, so this is, and I think I only saw this, about maybe a couple of years ago. I first started actually watching this every Thanksgiving. It's definitely become kind of a staple, as I'm sure for many of you listening out there. Although Sean, I know you only recently watched it, didn't you?
Yeah, surprisingly, as much as I typically enjoy John Hughes films and have seen literally everything else he has directed, this was a blind spot I had, and I just watched it recently for the first time, and while I definitely can enjoy the performances in it, the humor is not really quite my style. I'm not a person who enjoys comedy that is based on feeling bad or embarrassed for somebody else. So
Yeah.
there's definitely plenty to enjoy in this movie, but a lot of the comedy style here is not to my taste. But again, you put Steve Martin in a position where he's doing comedy and a lot of physical reactions. It's going to be wonderful.
Oh, of course, and some of it is staged so beautifully and so well because I think I credit John Hughes to the humor a lot because he's known for his style of just making movies is really fascinating to me because what he loves to do is this thing where he'll spend like a weekend, like a 2 or 4 day weekend, just furiously writing a story, and he'll turn in a script that's about 140 pages long, so that probably means the movie's going to be about 140 minutes, 145 minutes, give or take. But what he does is he writes these scripts like that, goes out and shoots the movie with a lot of improv and a lot of things to, improve upon his screenplay because he does several rewrites throughout the making of it. And then he'll eventually turn in a 3-hour movie, and then his editors will cut it down to like 2 hours and then tighten it to the 90-minute cut that we all know. Because apparently there is a 3-hour cut of not just Planes, Trains, and Automobiles around. There's also one for like Ferris Bueller, the Breakfast Club. I think the Breakfast Club even had like a 4-hour cut. It's kind of crazy, but that just kind of goes to show that he's a dude who likes to tell a story and shove as much of his stuff that he can do into it, and then when it comes time for the editing process, he feels what's working, what's not working, and ultimately craft the final movie. That's something that I always really kind of admired that he did, even though it must have driven the studio's fucking nuts.
Well, I mean, every people have their own kind of style, so it's not that surprising that his is a little eccentric, but
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like if you're making the studio money, they'll put up with you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, he made so much money, not just for his directing stuff, but also his screenplay work. Like if you look at his filmography, holy shit, you forget like just how much the dude was really good at writing. I think he actually started out writing jokes for SNL and like magazines and shit like that, which I always thought was like, oh, that must be like one of the coolest gigs.
Well, I mean, he certainly, primarily was a writer. I mean, he directed throughout the 80s pretty much, but, then he backed away from directing and just went back to being a writer. So,
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and it's also really great how personal his movies are and how the human, because a lot of this is, I mean, this movie is probably the most explicit example of how it was drawn off of his own stuff. Because I don't know if you read about it, but this movie was basically inspired by a 5-day trip to get home to Chicago from hell, much like Steve Martin was, where he was going from Manhattan, New York, and trying to get home for Thanksgiving for Chicago, but there was bad weather delays. He got rerouted to Wichita, Kansas, just like Steve Martin does in the movie, and it took him a total of 5 days to get home.
yeah,
So
which
he wound
is
up
absolute crazy nightmare, and
oh,
it
totally.
makes you appreciate the advancements and things that have happened with transportation and communication in recent years. So,
Have you ever had like that hard of a time trying to get home for somewhere for the holidays? Because I know I have, and there were a couple of times where it's just like, oh my god.
I mean, I've had some difficult times, bad snowstorm, car issues on top of that. So
Mm-hmm.
there's definitely been times where it took, 2 or 3 times longer than anticipated for sure. But I can't think of, any time where it was just like delayed by days and days and days. So,
It was never really delayed for days on end for me, but I remember being home a full 10 hours late for Christmas because I was, in Bowling Green at the time, studying film and photography, and I had a friend of mine drive me up to, I think it was, I don't, it might have been in, yeah, I think it was in Toledo. Yes, it was. So I was driven up to Toledo by my friend at like 3 in the morning. My train was supposed to arrive around 4:30, 5 ish. Didn't get there till like 8 a.m. And so I was waiting for like hours on end at the Amtrak station, and then we went through the train. The train made a lot more stops because of the bad weather and all these other delays and all these other baggage check things, and I don't even remember half of it. I was just trying to like lose myself in my laptop and the media that I've had on there, just between music and movies or whatever the hell I had stored. And then I had to get to I had to transfer trains to get to the Union Station. Well, actually, no, that was where I was headed, because I was going from Toledo all the way to the Union Station in Chicago, and then I had to transfer from the Union Station to the train station in Aurora, where I would be finally picked up by my folks. But because I was so delayed, and then I was stuck in the Union Station for another 3.5 hours to get on the next track. That last train, the train ride took about an hour and a half, and then I finally got there, and it turns out because I was so delayed, my parents couldn't pick me up.
oh,
Yeah. And then finally, after waiting and waiting, they actually sent my next door neighbor to pick me up, and finally I could get home and just be like, I think the only other time I had such difficulty traveling was when I took a cruise up with my good buddy Dan on a cruise to Alaska. Because I had to travel from where I am now in Cincinnati up to Toledo, where he was staying. We stayed there for a short while, for a couple hours, to get like a few shut-ins, and then we had to take the car up like an hour up there, and then it was about a 2-hour flight from Toledo, then to Chicago, and then all the way to Seattle. And I'm flying coach, and it's not fun with someone who's like 6'2", 6'3".
I mean, I've flown from Detroit to San Diego several times, and to
Mm-hmm.
also to the Bay Area, so I do understand the long flights out to the coast there in coach. So
It's awful because I've flown before, but for that some reason that flight was particularly uncomfortable. The only way where I could sit kind of okay was in the, stiff textbook
hmm
position that you would see on there, and you couldn't do anything. I had no neck pillow, no nothing. And it
yeah,
was
given that those are like 5 hour flights, they really should be using the kind of planes they use for crossing the Atlantic and stuff like that. For the international flights,
Yep.
they have much more comfortable planes, and I do not understand why they refuse to do that for domestic flights that are over 4 hours. But here we
They
are.
ha- they just hate tall people. That's my that's my that's my assessment anyway. Because and after we finally landed in Seattle, we had to take a bus to get onto the cruise, and then we were finally able to collapse. And I have this wonderful picture of Dan just collapsed on our little room inside the ship, and it's glorious. I'll show you later. Sorry, folks at home, you can't real. It's a podcast. It's not really photo friendly. But yeah, man. So, and hopefully, this year getting home to Thanksgiving won't be as horrible as this. Because what are your plans for Thanksgiving? Where are you gonna be staking up while our listeners are tuning in?
I'm honestly not sure. I imagine I will either be here or in Chicago. Um,
Oh,
but
right
yeah,
on.
I don't think we've gotten that far ahead yet to actually have planned that out. Because as we said, we're recording this in mid October. So
I just really hope that the ghost of John Candy just kind of shows up and starts to, ask if you want to buy some shower curtains. That'd actually be kind of a
shower
sick.
curtain rings.
There you go. Yeah.
Although it would honestly be better if he showed up trying to sell me earrings.
There you go. And, or how about shower curtain ring earrings?
That was the joke. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see what you mean. Well, I mean, anything's an earring if you got a big enough loophole.
That's true.
Okay, well, I guess we should stop bitching around and actually start the movie. But before we do, I just want to reach out to all you listeners. I really hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I know you're probably in a closet somewhere trying to avoid your family because things are so fucking politically awful right now, and one can only imagine the amount of pain it must be to have to deal with people that you love and also people that you hate. So I just want to reach out that we are here for you. We are here to bring a little light into the god awfulness of 2020, because oh my god, it's for you guys, it's like the ending of November going into December, and yet the end of this year still feels 3 months away. It hurts. So I just want to reach out to all of you to say that I love you, all of you, for real. Do you have anything to add, Sean, or am I just going to be the only? Am I
Hey,
just going
I
to be the
mean,
weird guy?
no, I mean, obviously, it's like be kind and care for one another. I mean
Absolutely.
that's how we get through.
Mm-hmm. So, how about we all kick back together and, as a Comtrack family, let's pull up our blankets, put our turkey and stuffing dinner on the side table with a nice tall glass of wine, and kick back and watch this classic. So, folks at home, if you've got this thing on streaming, if you've got it on Blu-ray, if you've got it on VHS, you better get it ready. And just one last little thing to note is that we are watching the original theatrical version. It's an hour and 32 minutes long, because there are a couple of different versions out there, particularly with either the TV made for TV version or the special edition Blu-ray. But we've got the original theatrical version, so just want to make that a note before we get going. So I really hope you guys got it by now, because I'm really getting tired of talking and like building this shit up. So here we go, and we're gonna start this bad boy in 3, 2, 1, click. And there we got the Paramount logo, just for pretty much all of John Hughes movies, and already we can hear the sounds of planes, trains, and automobiles. Actually, really, they even have that in the order of the sounds, which I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of clever. Again, I feel like that's something that John Hughes came up with in the edit. Is it weird that title card kind of reminded me of the airplane logo?
I get you.
A little bit.
A little bit.
I mean, well, there is actually an airplane Easter egg in this movie, and we'll get there when we get there. Right away. I love this fucking gag with his boss, like taking forever to fucking get this. Oh yeah, I forgot about these little editorial notes where, you know, he's just looking at his ticket home. Oh yeah, and we got the dad from Ferris Bueller. One of many John Hughes alumni appearing in this movie. God, I love the silent, just tension in all of this, and how it's completely played through the actors' reactions. No dialogue whatsoever, until maybe. I swear to God, the pacing like this is like a Coen Brothers movie.
Oh, I love it. It's so good.
Oh, shit. You know, he really should have followed his advice on that.
He should have, but
then again, we wouldn't have a really great movie now, would we?
well, you know, I mean, I'm also just kind of like, I mean, this movie is so streamlined, but there's so many questions, such as like, okay, he's going home to Chicago, he's in New York, it's like, so does he work out of the Chicago office and they just have to have a powwow in New York every month? Like, none of this is explained.
I mean, honestly, I feel like, you know, he's just one of the traveling ad people, and, you know, a lot of his basis is he splits his time between, like, New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. And, oh, shit!
Yep.
Speaking of this is probably one of the strangest movie cameos in all history. And I also love the way this shit's edited. And it's very good, like Sergio Leone.
Dude, Kevin Bacon does great Sly Eye.
Right, dude, for real. But you know what the strangest thing is? Like, because the year after this, because this was 87, the next year, John Hughes did another movie with Kevin Bacon called She's Having a Baby. Now, there's like a weird, you know, among fans, like there's a whole thing that these movies are connected somehow. Like, you know, Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller, Home Alone, this movie, all of them are kind of weirdly connected to one another. So if this is the same character from She's Having a Baby, it gets completely debunked later because it cuts back to his wife watching on TV the movie She's Having a Baby. So is that how? Oh, and right here we got our first little hint at Del Griffith.
Yeah.
The tacky, one of the tackiest trunks ever. I actually fucking love it. Dude, this is fucking New York. Of course you're
Yeah.
not going to get that. This is worse. This is New York in the 80s. Oh, this guy has to be a Wall Street broker or something. Oh, close. I guess it's just about as bad. Not quite as bad as a Wall Street broker, but just as bad. And the motherfucker left. And look right there. I love that. They have like a little shower ring. A shower curtain ring in there. Just to kind of hint at that. It's those... Because that's another thing that this movie I really fucking love. Is like most great movies, especially comedies for some reason. It's those tiny little details that come back. Like with John Hughes, it's a lot about the rewatchability of these movies, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Nope! Ah! Ran right over his briefcase. All of us right now are Steve Martin. All of us are just trying to get home after a very long year. This is honestly, I will submit to you that this movie kind of is perfect to watch this year because Steve Martin going from New York to Chicago is a lot like us trying to get from January to December of 2020.
You're not wrong. I mean, this has been a exasperating year, and this movie encapsulates that feeling very much.
Pretty much, dude. And of course, now we're cutting back home to the wife and kids. Now, there's something
that
really
haircut. Oh my gosh,
that is so fucking 90s. That is. Dude, that's the exact same haircut, what's his name, in Mrs. Doubtfire had, I swear. But, yeah, something interesting about this house, a lot of people have been like, wait, is that totally the same house from Home Alone? And they're close. It's not the same house. But apparently that is in the exact same neighborhood as the house of the Home Alone house, where they shot all the exteriors. So, I guess, John Hughes just really liked that area. Or he was just so surly he didn't want to have to, look for another location. Oh, I love this reveal. And I also love the stream of consciousness that John Hughes does. That shot right there. Where...
They put the door up.
Yeah, that's such a cool thing that he's done, that John Hughes is doing, because they're putting you in the mindset of Steve Martin by not, because honestly they could have easily just cut away to the shot of where John Candy looks surprised earlier, and they could have just cut away to that. That would have been easy, but they bring you into the character's mind by having to go through the effort to take a cab door to this airport location, redress John Candy, and shoot, all for just like a half second of screen time.
Yeah.
That's so admirable. I love that shit. And it's like, the little touches in his directorial stuff that really stands out for me.
Yeah. I mean, that attention to detail is delightful. This, I don't know. I find this characterization by John Candy very interesting, because I mean he obviously is, one of the great everyman actors out there, but for some reason this particular one just like grates me wrong, which is so weird, because usually I'm a big John Candy fan. I love his performances, but it's like this time around it's just kind of like he really is beyond everyman to just like, God, you're irritating.
I don't know, because like first off, like apparently this is both Steve Martin and John Candy's favorite film of their own. They really freaking love this. But I think, John Candy is considerably different here, is because, oh my god, I'm sorry, that reaction, that reveal is so fucking good.
It is
So good.
and I love this shot right here where they got the moon and stuff, but then they and it looks so beautiful and clear just to cut over to the nightmare that is Chicago.
Yep, and you know what? Back in the 80s and 90s, that shit was real. That shot right there, the exterior of the plane flying, that's actually B-roll from Airplane. If you look real closely, you're like, "Oh my god, I cannot unsee that." That's the model airplane that they used on the movie Airplane, which is, makes sense because this is a Paramount movie and Airplane was also produced by Paramount. Yeah, no, going back to, John Candy, is that he was played this movie about at least as straight as he could, because they've always described Steve Martin, I think, actually is the one who described John Candy as really close to his character in this movie, where he was just a real sweet guy, always wanted to please, sometimes like maybe a little too much, but you totally he wasn't he clearly exaggerated it for the character of Del Griffith, but a lot of the truth in that of this character is in John Candy himself. I love this. Right, the fucking feet.
Yeah, and like, who does that? Who takes their shoes off on a plane? Like, my gosh.
I'll tell you who. Fucking John. Well, John McClane probably would have in later years. Or what was it? Make a fist with your toes, shit like that. And he's like, oh, damn. God, the atmosphere is just so wonderful. And the other thing that I really love about this movie, especially with Steve Martin, is that do you know how easily, considering, with a lesser script and a lesser director and a lesser actor, they could have made Steve Martin's character totally unlikable to the point where you don't empathize with him at all.
Yeah.
Like, see what I mean? That seriously looks like the home from Home Alone. But yeah, it could have been really easy to do. And, there's a lot of conventions that, the buddy travel comedy that this movie kind of takes, but it actually knows when to diverge from it. And I think that's one of the, because, it's a movie that, you're like, well, that was a sweet experience the first time around. Or like, yeah, that was a pretty good movie. But for some reason, it's one of those movies that takes a while to unleash its greatness upon you. I think that was something that, one of my favorite critics, Roger Ebert, wrote, because he actually included this movie with his great movies, believe it or not. It's so strange. Oh yeah, this where these guys probably would have seriously, it's so fucking funny that if they had just waited in this airport, they could have avoided the rest of the whole fucking movie, man. It's okay, and there's
Yep.
Ben Stein doing another really good cameo. Not as memorable as Ferris Bueller, but I do love the fucking gag behind him.
Yeah.
The destination is nowhere.
Yep.
Man, Wichita has some really sick sense of humor. Also, you really gotta love the the pre 9/11 flight conditions for airports.
Oh yeah.
Things were a lot more liberal back then. Those were simpler times. So that's another thing that kind of came up. So he just mentioned, like, like your work, love your wife. But
Yeah.
instead of calling home, he calls the inn, and you're like, wait a minute, that doesn't feel right.
First of the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, and that's the thing that John Candy is so wonderful at here, is that not only does he pepper all these wonderful little things through, and you know, also in conjunction of John Hughes' script, but it's that pathos that he brings to it, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like he does have this happy-go-lucky, you know, everyman feel, but there's still that small pathos of sadness behind him. He's so wonderful for that.
Yeah, I
I love
mean,
this.
I there's a lot of stuff I love and a lot of stuff I also like that drives me nuts about this movie. But like little moments like this are what kind of makes the movie. Like the weird, unique cab driver who's got it decked out. Just
Dude, actually, if I were gonna go get into a cab like this, I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I hit the jackpot."
right.
Because seriously, who's have you ever been in like an Uber car or like a taxi cab in your lifetime where it's been that souped up?
Uh, not to that level, but I've been in some odd vehicles, but nowhere near that level.
That the suspension even. Oh my god.
I mean, at that point, you got to assume he owns the medallion.
Yeah, for real. Although it's really funny is like even the fact that you know there were oh some of these fucking sign gags are amazing. No bare feet in the lobby. Like there's always a story behind weird signs like that.
Right.
I forgot about okay, that's another weird. Again, this movie has such wonderful little nuggets of comedy. It's never really in the foreground. It's always kind of in the background. Cuz like when he's like this is this is my good friend Neil. Nice to meet you, Nick. It's like it goes by so quick and you almost miss it, but god, they're really funny. Oh god. That those cuts, man. So good. Okay, there's something yeah. Oh man. Those really shitty motels. Only one bed. What to do? I even love how it changes straight to a POV. Or okay, so that's another thing, something I've noticed. Because, again, it's kind of like the movie, for me, The Hangover. When that movie came out, I looked at the trailer and I saw the premise. I'm like, this is some movie that's going to fail so hard. And then I hear it comes out and it does really, really well and whatnot. And I watch it for myself and I'm like, wow, in the hands of lesser actors and writers and directors, this easily could have been a movie this movie should have failed. But because it delivers so well on its premise and takes full advantage of it, it becomes like a classic. And I think it's the same deal here. Because, because in like a lesser movie, they would have taken that kind of, where they're like, oh god, we got to sleep together. Oh, it could have come off as like homophobic, I love that real sweet picture of the wife, but it doesn't really here. It's just more like two straight guys from the '80s who have grown up with this sense of to kind of fear a misunderstood intimacy or something like that, or to be shy and distant around other guys. And I feel like that's just something that it's not supposed to be homophobic. It's just for the pure uncomfortableness factor.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that. I mean, but like, you know, looking at this scene right here, just like, how is anyone that inconsiderate, and why would he have that other person have left it in a state like that and needed that much? I'm just like,
well, to be in all fairness, John Candy is a whole lot of man.
I mean, yeah, like honestly, like this is the point where it's like, as I said, like this is the kind of movie that wouldn't happen today because of advancements and all that kind of stuff. But like, this is the moment where literally I'd be like, yeah, I'm getting an Uber. I'm getting something to take me 2 hours up the road where where there's not a crowd, where there's not an airport problem. I'll spend the night there and I'll head home the next day. Like, that's the kind of way I roll.
Yeah.
It's just like, and it's just the whole way the situation is, because, lack of cell phones, much less reliance on, credit and other forms of payments. Like, cash was still king at this point and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, man, like, this is not how I have lived or would know how to live. Mm-hmm. It's like looking at a weird, like, time capsule. Because, I mean, I remember the 80s, and I can remember a time like this, but by the time it really became my heyday for travel, these kind of issues were pretty much non-existent.
Yeah, I think, maybe the whole all the travel agencies saw this movie and like, well, let's never have anyone go through that, like, at all, ever. Because that was the other thing. Like, they had a hard time trying to find companies to represent on the on screen, and they couldn't find any because it was all awful, and they didn't want, and no company wanted to be perceived that way.
Yeah, and like, I get it. If you get snowed in at an airport, it's like, yeah, all the hotels, everything's gonna fill up quickly. Yep. But the difference here is, like, their airport's not snowed in, their destination airport's snowed in. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, in the modern age, like, rent a car, do something, just get a couple hours down the road. The accommodations there are not going to be full because now you're a couple hours away from the airport.
Mm-hmm.
But, the hope is, like, well, I want to get the plane tomorrow. And it's just like, well, if it's a 5-hour drive...
Or, the hell with it, I'll just go for it.
Yeah, it's like, do 2 hours that night, get a hotel, do the next 4 in the morning, and just deal with it. Like, come on.
But we wouldn't get great comedy like this. I think that's what it really comes down to. Because can we talk about how... Oh, yeah, right here. The flights are clearing up. Like, if they had just stayed and held out, they would have made it home just in time. But no, we are like 23 minutes. We are about 22... 20, 30, 37, 38, 39, so 22 minutes and like 45 seconds in. We've got a whole nother hour of a movie to fill, so... Now,
I will say, this kind of stuff, though, like, I
the
have...
sounds.
Like, I've shared a hotel room with people at, like, going to anime or comic conventions and stuff, and...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, when your friend will not stop snoring.
It's just, nope. Also, can we talk about the sounds that the bed made? What the fuck are in those things, dude? Like, seriously, it sounds like it's being stuffed with, like, hay and trash cans. I also love how, because you mentioned, like, how even though you're friends with people, when they snore at night, you just want to punch their face out.
Yes.
But you got to really enjoy the fact that John Candy's character goes the distance by kind of snoring to the tune of Shave and a Haircut. So... And this is another thing that I thought was really interesting, because, like I said, this kind of plays around with the whole buddy comedy adventure thing. This is the blow-up scene that is inevitable in all of those. But if you'll notice, it's in the first third of the movie. Because usually most movies like this will save it for the final third to, let the tension build and build and build.
Yeah.
But here, no, it's like... No, because like you said, if you were in this situation, you would have bailed already.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so right here is the good place to have the blow-up. But even better, to make the scene even better, not just, structurally, but also characterally, look at John Candy's face. you can see the hurt, and it's actually kind of a great pathos, despite how fucking funny, funny all of Steve Martin's insults are. It's still like, wow. This kind of actually reminds me of Steve Martin's really great riff about his nose in the movie Roxanne.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of that. Oh, wow. That hurts. That hurts. Oh. It's great because this scene's really something that's really great that a lot of other movies tend to miss is that both characters actually have a little bit of a point, and you actually feel for both of them. You're not really siding with one or the other, because it's so easy to make just one character or the other really likable and the other one unbearably annoying to the point where you just want to, fucking punch them in the face the whole time. But honestly, it never really goes that far either way. They both have their flaws, but they both have, their redeeming qualities that make them likable as characters.
They very much do. You're spot on with that, and I love the rising '80s music in the background here.
Oh, I know, right?
Underscore
so
the
80s.
Emotional moment. I'm just
Okay, so another thing to point out about this hotel, because I take it you've been in your share of seedy hotels and whatnot.
a few.
Yeah, I've been in a couple myself, like nothing like too ridiculous, but there is one little sneaky detail in this movie, and you got to look real closely because it's in some of the shots, and it's not in others. I can't see it in this one, but I think you'll see it in the next scene, which is great comedy in and of itself. But the shitty painting that's above them in the bed, coming up in the next scene in the morning, after they get fucking robbed. But if you look closely next to the painting, there are two handprints stained on the wall.
Oh gosh.
And that, when you look at it, when you start to look at where those handprints are, your mind starts to think, how and what position is required to have two stained handprints on the wall that apparently that even a seedy motel can't get rid of. What went on in this hotel room? It draws so many questions, but it's such a wonderful little detail. You'll be able to see it, I think, in the wide shot coming up after the reveal of those aren't pillows. This is so good. And again, I still say it is. I still submit to you that this is not like homophobic. This is not played out to be like a homophobic thing. It's just made to be uncomfortable for two strangers that have just met to be like, no. Because I'll be honest, Lydia, I wouldn't mind like snuggling with a dude for the night if need be. Oh God. Now, why John Candy doesn't...
I see what you mean about the handprints.
Yeah, right there, the handprints. Right behind. If you look real closely, there are handprints. And you wonder, how did that... what position is required for that? But I also love this bit right here where they're talking about the bears. Although, why John Candy doesn't immediately wash his hands, because knowing where they've been...
Yeah.
That's the part that always kind of like, wait a minute, you might. Why is Steve Martin the one in the in the
Oh.
bathroom? Although
Oh
it's
God.
because of this scene.
Oh,
This.
I hate this scene so much. Like, I hate feeling embarrassed for people. And this.
You know, like
Also,
it's
I don't
the
like gross.
underwear. Oh God!
Nope.
Oh my God! I'm looking at you, Sean. Like you're like holding it, just
Nope. Nope. No.
trying to hold in your lunch. Hold it in. God. And the worst thing is they had to make it brown socks so it looks like a fucking turd.
I love her reaction. Like, you shared a motel room with a stranger, and I'm like, yes, thank you. The wife is sane. Good.
Right? Because, oh my God. And worse, you know, he's like having to like snuggle up like next to him, which honestly I don't, because with a stranger, yeah, that's a bit of a no-go zone for me. But if it's for like a friend or whatever, fine, I'll do it. I wouldn't mind that because fucking snuggles are amazing.
I mean, look, there's all kinds of circumstances with people you know. With strangers, it's a whole different ballgame.
Totally, and as someone, you know, like, because you could have like meets a really nice stranger on the street or whatnot, and you can tell real sweethearted individual, but it's totally not the person you'd want to hang out with more.
Oh yeah.
And that's fine. Like you're like, hey man, that was really sweet, but no, I think I got my fill.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this motherfucker is stuck with him for the next 5 days. Oh, and also I love this whole, you know, misunderstand it. That's another really great thing is that, you know, at when both parties are innocent and it's a total misunderstanding, but it's only known to the audience and not the characters.
You know what? I have a question here.
Yeah.
Do you see how thick John Candy's wallet is?
Yeah.
What does he have in there when we know he doesn't have credit cards?
You know, my guess is that he keeps, like, if you ever saw the movie Catch Me If You Can with DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. You know how DiCaprio's character tends to keep like lots of labels from shit in his wallet and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
That's, I imagine, you know, being a traveling salesman for shower curtain rings, he keeps like a lot of business cards and hotel memorabilia in his wallet. That's like my guess, because if you look real closely on his trunk, all of the stickers are all hotels and hotel memorabilia, which makes sense because it's the only place that he's been. And then this is one of my favorite little bit part acting bits. See, if Mark Borison was here for Marvel Movie of the Month, we'd be like, wait, who's this character? Oh shit! It's fucking Kurt Connors from Spider-Man 2 and 3. But no, cats, that's Dylan Baker, who's actually a really wonderful little bit character actor in his own right. But can you believe this is his first movie?
I mean, that doesn't surprise me so much, just because I'm so used to seeing him playing like more of a businessman and such, so it doesn't surprise me that this is where he comes in.
This moment, oh my god! Did you see Steve Martin's face? Did you see it? Okay, it's really quick, but when it comes into frame, okay, so like I said before, John Hughes is really known for his improv. He totally told Dylan Baker to spit in his hand and then shake Steve Martin's hand, because Steve Martin's a legit germaphobe, so that look of disgust is totally genuine. And it makes for such good comedy. Apparently the entire crew was like laughing their ass off at that take. Oh, this is so... This might be like the most 80s-ist, Illinois-iest cameo that I've ever seen. Along with this girl. Jesus. Jesus. We got it. We're good. It's done. See? It's good. We're good. Jesus. God. I also love the sounds that come out of Dylan Baker's mouth. We're just a it's so But I can guarantee you, dude, like having, I grew up near the Chicagoland area, but I'm like at the very edge of the outskirts. Like I'm more closer to Wayne and Garth in Aurora.
I gotcha.
So about 20 minutes south, you'll see a lot of this. And I submit to you, I guarantee you there are people like this in Illinois.
Well, there's people like that everywhere.
Looking like fucking Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining. I wouldn't be surprised if they took a little liberty with that. Okay, so we've been on planes, we've been on automobiles, and now we're getting to the trains portion of the movie. And apparently, like I said, they were having such a hard time getting actual travel agency companies to be represented on here because they were so inept and it was such a hellish experience for the characters.
Yeah.
So they, I think for this one was probably the hardest because they actually got an abandoned train station, dressed it up as a set, and they made a fake train company called Contrack, which is really funny because it sounds like Comtrack. No, but it's. I think it was supposed to be like a splice between the real companies Conrail and Amtrak. But yeah, they even used like, I don't know, 10 miles of disused
track.
Disused track just to get some of the shots, and it was kind of a nightmare.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, disused tracks in the first place are going to be kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
But that is so Midwest right there. I mean, looking out this window, it's just
for real. Because like I said, I took the train home for Thanksgiving and Christmas during my college days, and yeah, looking out to those to all the countryside and whatnot. That's fucking Indiana and Illinois, man. That's exactly what it looks like. And of course, because this trip will never end, and we've still got, we still got 54 minutes of movie left. Something wrong has to go. Something has to go wrong.
Yeah, I think that's honestly one of the very that they keep the hits coming so quickly that it's just kind of like, really, again, another,
I know,
another,
right?
like.
Well, that's the other thing about this movie. I mean, despite the fact that, there are all these horrible things that go wrong in, that really play well for the comedy and whatnot, they still really manage to keep it tight, because it's still just a 90-minute movie.
Right.
That's, I also credit a lot of that to, the editor Paul Hirsch, who, if you don't know, 10 years prior, he made his name with Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, what I find most interesting, as you were talking about, with companies not wanting to be a part of this because of how bad they show, and particularly now having dealt with a lot of travel and accommodation issues and things like that, most companies that I know will do something, will almost bend over backwards to make sure that you don't have a nightmare story to tell. Because the last thing any company wants in this day and age, when everything can be put online and be covered and go viral,
like
they don't want someone coming out there with a nightmare story that they didn't help or do anything.
Yeah. Okay, here's another really great little character bit. What the fuck is this guy with the mice in the box? What is that? What is the story behind this character? It's there for the one shot, but it's never explained. And you know what? I'm all for the not explaining the bits. It just makes it the more funnier. It's just the little what the fuck touches. God, that's the I think one of the great things about this movie, because the bit character parts are just perfect. Damn, you two, get a room. 'Cause, my God, they're really into it.
Like I don't know how you would, like, what I don't get is, like, why does he not just look away? Like, why do you?
Because comedy. This movie really is kind of a cartoon, isn't it? Oh boy. Although it's really that's a great joke.
It is.
That's a great joke. But yeah, well, so now we're on so we've had taxicabs, we've had buses, we've had trains, and we've had planes. The only thing missing is the rent-a-car, which we're going to get eventually. So we truly, and we've pretty much, even these guys have tried to fucking just straight up walk. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, I saw this, and this was the moment where I was just like, yeah, I'm completely Steve Martin's character, and screw all these other people. I'm like, what an amazing standard, you know. I love the version by Sinatra, and I'm just like, what is this? Come on. It's like uncultured
you
swine.
Uncultured swine.
See?
Exactly. Oh my God! So they've gone from Wichita to God knows where and finally now they're in St. Louis. They are on the.
Oh, the people he's selling this stuff to. Oh my gosh.
So good. So good. And I can tell this is like, you know, like John Hughes, like, just telling to John Candy, like, just go, just do it. Because, you know, you see, like, despite being multiple customers and whatnot, they're using basically the same backdrop, just, you know, from different directions to kind of fool the eye.
What I love
so
about
I imagine
this,
that was, yeah.
What I love about this moment right here, it makes you wonder, who are these people that are playing video games in this, like, bus station on Thanksgiving weekend? Because, like, when you look at their attire, it's like, I think they went there just to do this.
Honestly, I'm pretty sure those are the kids that are like, I don't want to spend holidays with my freaky aunt and my uptight uncle. I want to get the fuck out of my house. So I'm not one who wears earrings or anything, but if there's any female listeners out there at all, let's try to bring back shower curtain ring attire. Like, let's make that a thing. You know, I was actually at a wedding not long ago, and I saw a dude who, like, it was a very strange wedding full of wonderful characters. You were there. It was for our friend Julie's wedding.
Oh, okay.
There was a guy dressed in... Yeah, there was a dude dressed in a rubber ducky shower curtain, basically, and had, like, a whole bunch of bells on his sides and had, like, a tiny little purple hat just dancing around. I forget who that was, but he was one of the more memorable characters there. And that could have easily been, like, you know, some shower curtain attire. Like, bring shower curtain rings back into the mainstream. We're bringing it back. Oh, that moment where he's like, dude, you've overstayed your welcome. You're a sweethearted soul, but get the fuck out of my way.
I love how it plays. It's like, when we've put our heads together, and you can just see him leading into it. It's like, Oh yeah, he's getting on board. He's finally. Oh.
Such good chemistry with it, dude.
Well, and perfect delivery.
Yeah, dude.
I
I
mean,
mean,
whether or not I
perfect
like
setup.
the character, John Candy. I mean, his talent is unquestionable. I mean,
Absolutely.
he nails it really well.
So I'm actually curious. What's your favorite John Candy performance outside of this movie? Because outside, just in general.
Um, it's hard for me to say, although it might actually be Uncle Buck.
Okay, right on. That's one of the few that I still haven't actually sat down and watched.
Yeah,
I'm probably gonna have to watch that this Thanksgiving myself.
it's I it's a great John Hughes movie, and I think it's such a great vehicle for John Candy. I really do enjoy
Oh,
it.
for sure, for sure. As a matter of fact, I imagine John Hughes working on this movie. He wrote Uncle Buck specifically for John Candy just to work with him again.
Yeah.
Oh, this sequence.
oh,
This sequence
this
from hell.
yeah.
Oh my god. Because
But
now we're
yeah,
now
but again,
about
this
to
is
get
one
to
of
the
those.
rent-a-car.
But this is one of those moments where it's like, this would not be an issue in the age of cell phones.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like you would call them, and be like, "Hey, this is what's up.
Mm-hmm.
Do something about it."
There is no car. And the bus has left. And it's on the far, far side of the lot. So now we've gone from planes, we've gotten trains, we've gotten taxis, we've gotten buses, and now the rent-a-car we can't get to. And now we have to walk all the way back. Oh, this sequence is amazing. And the craziest bit is like you can feel how seething he is.
Yeah,
This,
but I mean, I understand how angry he is, but I am also such a paranoid, cover my butt kind of person that for me it's just like, yeah, I'm sorry, but I would have kept all that paperwork because I'm gonna walk back in there with every piece of ammunition and shove it in someone's face.
Oh my god. The snow. Jesus. That's some Chaplin shit right there. Oh my god. Not the hat! Oh, that poor man. That poor man.
And this never allowed in the world. Like 9/11, never in a million years.
No. Oh my god, the soggy shoes. Perfect sound design. Look on his face, I swear. Oh, and then of course the wonderful Edie McClurg. I love this dialogue that she has with her because apparently this is all her. Like she just based this on pretty much all her real life.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, this was one of the great scenes in this movie because again, the rest of the movie totally would have flown in 1987 with a PG rating. It probably would have been fine. It probably would have gotten maybe a PG-13, whatever. But it could have. But back in the 80s when ratings weren't as fucking uptight as they are now. But back then, it could have easily gotten a PG rating. But this is the one scene where there are literally no fucks given.
Yep.
And it's actually really funny because this is the halfway point of the movie. This is where all the fucks are not given halfway through the movie. 18 fucks, by the way. 18 exact, precise fucks. I want a fucking car right fucking now. This great period on the scene. Oh man, that's perfect. Perfect. Love it. And it's so weird because you would think, because if a movie is going to be, like, especially in the 80s, like, all right, if we're going to be R-rated, we're going to pepper the fucks throughout. And,
Right.
have couple of shits. It's literally just this one scene. And for some reason, that actually makes it funnier. Because, it's one of those things like, if you withhold the information, when you actually do show it, it gains that much more power. I really want to use that in real life one of these days. That's such a good comeback. Ow. Oh shit. And of course, he just can't fucking get rid of Del Griffith. No!
Oh.
No!
Oh.
Oh,
Oh.
mommy. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
So bad. So bad.
Bad touch.
Bad touch. It's really crazy. I just realized this looking at this, but first off, he's got a one of those shit. What do you call them?
Woodies?
The Woodies. Because I know that they're like, look, I really want a wood car to kind of
Wood paneled car, yeah.
Yeah, to reference, Christmas Vacation and shit. I love that, the high voice. Good shit. But I'm like I want to reference, have like a little reference to it. Oh my god, the voice. But yeah, they wanted to do that. But I just noticed that the car has like a little hood ornament with the name D, which I'm like, how did he get so lucky that he actually had his first name's initial to be the hood ornament? That was such a weird touch for me. Oh, this is some comedy gold. And this was 110% ripped off in the Pixar short film Mike's New Car. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
I don't think I have.
Yeah, Pixar did. They're known for their short films and whatnot, but they tend to do short films that are with the characters from their individual movies. They did one with Monsters Inc., where Mike Wazowski got a new car, and they play around with the seat and whatnot. And I'm like, looking at the joke. This joke now, I'm like, oh my god, they totally ripped that off, and I kind of low key like them for that. Oh, he's gonna take his shoes off again, isn't he? Yep, he's trying to get his shoes off because I don't know if you've noticed. But another little character thing, and I think this was on John Candy's choice. I could be totally wrong though. But if you notice, whenever you see the wides of Del Griffith or Del, and you see his shoes, his boots are always untied or unzipped. So he really likes his feet aired out for some reason, which I thought was really yeah. It's like a little character touches like that really make this a thing. Because, again, I think it's because there's so many wonderful little things that they squeeze into the cracks of the movie that it builds upon you over time. It's not something that you quite get the first time around. So who knows? Maybe in a few years you'll be thinking about this movie rather differently, or it'll just be the same. Who knows?
As I said, I mean, there's things to definitely like about it. It's just
Yeah, totally.
a lot of the humor isn't so much my style, but that doesn't
Yeah.
mean I can't appreciate the performances or the moments that do work for me. So
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, like honestly, a lot of the segments with this car are some of the best segments in this whole movie.
Yeah, right. Uh-oh. Oh, no. That's better. I wonder if that was actually like a rig that they built in the interior of the car on the studio or whatnot. Like
Yeah.
there was just like one person who controlled all the actions of the seat and whatnot, so Steve Martin wouldn't know what to expect. That would have been a really smart thing to do.
I also find that moment kind of odd. He's like, "I'm going to sleep. I'm putting my wallet in the glove box. Don't let me forget it." And I'm just like, "Do you not have a front pocket?"
Also, that's a setup. That's
I mean,
like a hardcore setup.
I mean, it totally is, but I'm just the kind of person where it's like, I would keep it on me just in a different pocket. Like, I don't get it.
I guess it's just, it's just John Hughes messing around. Doing the mess around. I do like this song, actually. I kind of low-key really love Ray Charles. And John Candy's just really feeling it, man. This actually feels kind of or a little, feels almost like a Blues Brothers tribute.
A bit.
Oh, it's also not the first time, like, on a road home to Chicago, that John Candy has been showing off his musical dance.
Oh.
Remember that little cameo that he had in Home Alone? That was really good.
Also written by John Hughes.
Yeah, that's directed by, too.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure he also directed Home Alone. Oh, well, no, my mistake. That was Chris Columbus.
Yeah, I didn't think he had done anything. I thought Curly Sue was his last. So.
Yep, that's on my fault. Again, you tend to forget, like, just because it's a John Hughes movie, and you tend to forget.
Well, yeah,
like,
a lot, yeah, because he kept writing, so a lot of the feel of his stuff still existed in a lot of other movies.
Yes,
because he wrote them.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ, dude. You're driving around in Chicago in late November in the 80s, dude. Like, just let it go. Pull over.
Yeah, like that. The whole time I was watching this sequence the first time, just like, do you not just pull over? Like, come on.
There's no one on the road, so it doesn't really matter too much. Because, like, we've both driven, home from the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
And those roads get fucking slick.
Oh, yes.
I mean, I remember driving around in the middle of the night trying to get home for Christmas one year, and it was really snowed out there, and I actually flew off the road from some black ice. Thankfully, I landed in, like, a heap of soft snow in the middle of in the property of a farm that was, like, way out in the way. I didn't hit anything or anything. I just had a hard time, like, getting back out. It took me about 20 minutes to get myself back out, but the car was okay, so I was cool.
I have slid off the road into trees at 75 miles an hour. Like, I walked away from that without a scratch, but I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
So, like, I have a lot of respect and care for winter roads, and
same.
It's just like, I do not understand why it's like you wouldn't just pull over. Like,
for real, dude. I just covering it up. Like, yeah, you're probably right. I didn't just have an, oh god, we almost died. But yeah, you would think he could have just pulled out, because again, there's like nothing around here. This shot is really fucking great.
Yeah.
Kind of. Oh shit. The twin truck drivers from hell. And of course he's going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way.
And I love that you could just see the wisp of smoke in the back from the cigarette.
Yes.
Like the cars at this point is burning.
Yep. They don't just quite get it. Yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that before.
It's those little bits of detail that are so important.
Yes. Unless you're... Uh-oh. Oh no! That is so concerning. He's like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Truck! This little insert is amazing. And there goes their stuff. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Oh wow. Fingernails. Oh. Oops. Let's just grab our stuff very quietly. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Look out. But man, that little insert of like seeing them as dead and then John Candy as the devil.
Yeah.
I don't know what's funnier, the fact that they took the time and effort to, plant that image into your mind, but the fact that they got that costume, it is clearly such a shitty Halloween costume.
Yes.
I don't know why that makes that funnier.
Because I think that's how he sees it. It's because he's like a devil, but also a clown.
Yeah, like it keeps that that 1 foot in burlesque almost.
Yeah, but like that's how Neil sees him. Like he didn't see him as the actual devil. It's like a clowny devil.
Yes.
And I just love that moment. It's like, oh yeah, this will buff right out. It's just like, dude, there's a point where optimism has to go.
Yes. Where all ye must abandon hope. Places like fucking 2020. Boy, oh boy. Like, okay, so we are an hour and 3 minutes, 26, 27. So we're about, roughly about an hour through. And yeah, it feels like where we are in like the fall for 2020. Where we're just like, holy shit, this shit is dangerous, and we just have to sit on the side of the road and and find out that our car is on fire. Everything's on fire. We are the dog. We are the dog meme. Everything's on fire. This is fine. This is fine. Just, welp. Steve Martin's reaction, just laughing about it, like, yep. Yeah. We're all gonna die. Uh. Oh, it's funny because everything's awful. For real? You what? Well, we're waiting. Oh, that's just. This is actually the one point where I think John Candy's actually did overstep his bounds.
Yeah.
Because, like, they would parted ways at that point. You know? Like, they like, found each other after he bought the car, or rented the car. A complete, total, like, weird circumstance. Okay, that's another thing. Did you hear those sounds?
Yes.
I know it's because this is supposed to be a really dramatic moment, but I love how that sound effect really undercuts it and keeps it funny.
But it's exactly the sound that damn kind of coat makes.
Yeah, exactly, for real. It's one of those things that, I really wish a lot of more comedy filmmakers would use the sound to get a laugh. Use the staging to get a little bit of a laugh.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that thing still fucking runs.
Yeah, I was too. I was like, wait, what?
For real? And again, the way that I forget who the production designer on this was, but for some reason they just have like really good keys in to make things as sleazy as possible. Because if you notice, there are not one but two signs to indicate this is the office to the hotel.
Right.
That's so unnecessary for some reason, but it just kind of works. I don't know how. Because I still don't know if that's like a John Hughes thing or if it's actually, the production designer. Oh, God. Yeah, you remember we were talking about how having the wallet in the glove box is going to be a setup for later. Well, here we are. Extra crispy. Crispy.
I gotta say, that's for a crappy motel, that seems like way overpriced for the time period.
No kidding. I feel like that would be like, $20. Who was this bit actor here? Because he feels so fucking familiar.
Oh, yeah. He's been in a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah, now I remember. He's the dude who gets eaten by the T-Rex in Jurassic Park. The one on the toilet. Yeah, Martin Ferrero. God, yeah, because I swear, this movie, this movie is filled with, like, a lot of, bit character actors that feel so familiar, and yet you can never remember their names.
Yeah.
I have some shower curtain rings.
I love how he's just like,
he's such a salesman about it. Although mercifully they have 2 beds this time. Thank God. And a very strange picture of what I think is Johnny Cash?
maybe could also be Elvis Costello.
Or Elton John, maybe?
No, I don't think Elton John.
Yeah, you're right. It's not nearly as colorful enough.
Man, imagine a place where they have a lock on the phone.
Well, yeah, you're right. Because like in a day of cell phone use, like he would have like texted and called his wife several times throughout this picture, but because he can just never get a fucking break, and all you have are payphones.
Look at that sign on the door.
Yeah, this is the scene where I feel like it almost feels like John Candy isn't even acting. They just kind of turned the camera on and have him go. Because I think it was, it was Roger Ebert's Great Movies review. He actually talked about meeting John Candy at a bar. He was, having a cigar and a drink to himself. And they were going to be on a TV show the next day. And when he met him, he found out he was actually really depressed. People loved him, but he didn't seem to know that, or it wasn't enough. And he called him a sweet guy, and nobody had a word to say against him. But he was still down on himself, and all he ever wanted to do was make people laugh. Sometimes tried too hard, and he hated doing that for doing that in some of his movies. And when he told that to Roger, he said, well, Roger thought of his character here in Dell. Because, there's a lot of truth to his humanity that he plays here.
Mm.
And you know what? I guess this movie, especially this scene right here, is that there's a little bit of hope for, troubled families out there. That, even the most annoying and just pain in the butt people that you hang out with, you can still find some good in them. And you can still have a good time in them. And if there's hope for these two strangers that have been through absolute hell for days on end, maybe there's hope for us too. And that warms my heart. See, now he's channeling Cool Runnings.
Right.
another really great performance. I think that might be. That's for me. That's because I still haven't seen Uncle Buck, but Cool Runnings is kind of one of my favorite John Candy movies.
I think it's arguably his most approachable.
Yeah, for sure. Even though that movie is grossly inaccurate, it's super entertaining either way. Because that was kind of a staple growing up for me.
For some peak John Candy, though, I would also recommend Great Outdoors.
Oh, cool. Right on. I also really loved him in Spaceballs as Barf. Don't see a whole lot of Barf cosplayers out there. Although I did run into one a few years ago at Animarathon at BG, which was really cool. He even had the what was it? The canned the can of Schwartz, liquid Schwartz, which I thought was really cool.
May the Schwartz be with you.
And may we find the search for more money. And yeah, speaking of Hollywood making money and all that shit, did you hear about that? There's supposed to be a remake with this movie that's coming down the pipe. It's right now it's rumors and shit right now, but apparently they're thinking about remaking this with Will Smith and Kevin Hart. Right now it's in development, and it's
How
I
do
don't
you tell
know.
this story in a world with cell phones?
I don't know, because honestly, this is such a thing of its time, and because of the limitations of travel back then, are not nearly as constrained as they are now. I don't know how they could pull it off and have that kind of the same level of humanity that this movie has. I really hope it's just like something that stays in development hell permanently and never gets remade. Because who needs a remake for this? This movie's already fucking perfect. Ah. So you'd think they would have been like smoking weed or something like that, rather
Right.
than just instead of booze. Although to be fair, this trip does need some fucking weed to just relax. You know what I'm saying? Come on, use that Illinois ingenuity. Have you ever seen that video of the people stuck, like the 4 people in their car stuck in the ice roads, and they're all pushing backwards and forwards inside the car, trying to get the car to go? It's like so wonderful. Oh dear, we gotta run away.
It's like there was not a credit card attached with this.
Nope.
Move.
Run away. We didn't see nothing. We saw nothing. Go, run away. Get out of here. Oh my God, seriously, the perils of getting through the plowed snow. But I love that little touch there. They actually put their turn signal on,
Right.
only to go the opposite way. They just committed destruction of property, but they still courteous enough to put their turn signal on, despite it being the wrong way. Oh my God, this is the little car that could. I swear. Uh-oh. Here come the po-po.
Hilariously, that's about the speed I typically drive to Chicago now.
Well, yeah, I mean, on these back-end roads, absolutely I would be.
Oh, well, no. I would say, like, I drive that because I go on the turnpike now. Whereas I get why in, 88, 87 when this movie was made. Like, that's, I get it.
See, I actually, for the longest time, tried to avoid taking the turnpikes and the freeways going. Well, at least while I was in college for BG. Because usually whenever I take the turnpike, for some reason, I wind up either in downtown Chicago or somewhere in Michigan, and I always got lost, and it was always just a royal pain in the ass. And then I found that if I just take Route 6 from Bowling Green all the way into Illinois, it would take me, roughly about half hour, 40 minutes away from where I lived, and I could just take the back roads there. So I would literally take this one long stretch of highway through the countries to get home. I mean, it added a little bit extra time, but to be fair, I actually liked the scenic route, and there was one stretch of area of road where I'm talking there's nothing. No towns, no farms, no cops, no nothing. So every once in a while, especially during the summer, I'd ran down those roads at like 100 miles an hour, usually to Fuel by Metallica. Good times, man. Good times.
So, interesting piece of trivia about this scene.
Yeah.
He gets 4th billing. The actor, I can't remember his name right now, he has 4th billing in this movie, and this is his only scene.
Yeah, he was, his scene was supposed to go a lot longer. Like, apparently there was this whole thing where, he would take their characters all the way up to the outer Chicago area and whatnot. But for some reason, it just kind of got cut. There's a lot of shit that got cut. Like I said, there's this whole bit where this was supposed to be like the original work print was like 3.5 hours long. And apparently,
that's insane.
Yeah, it is. And apparently, like, it does exist somewhere in the Paramount vaults, but even before John Candy passed away, uh, apparently it's completely deteriorated.
Mm.
I love that little bit part where he's got a black eye, and he's like, "Oh, the driver's kind of nervous. He doesn't like people sitting there." And like, did he just take a punch? Seriously, because honestly, it might have been a deleted scene with the state trooper there. It might have been, because who knows what the hell really happened during those scenes, because we've never seen him before. But the comedy in that the driver is so shy and so nervous that he actually like punched him in self-defense makes it a little bit funnier, I think. And like we said before, like we were talking about how he was, playing the saxophone with his hands and doing his musical dance things.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is, the Chicago Loop. Good old Chicago. I miss that city. But this is the second time on his way home to Chicago for the holidays that John Candy's been in the back of a semi-truck.
Mm-hmm.
Finally in LaSalle. Good old, the old Chicago Loop. Boy, I miss this city. On the above ground train system, the city's famous for, and we actually, earlier this season, we actually got to visit it in another movie entirely with Spider-Man 2. Finally, the goodbye comes to an end.
As if the trains in Chicago wait that long.
Yeah, for real. Like, if this movie was going to remain consistent in its tone and add that little punctual realism, that train would have left already, and they would have been like,
yeah.
"Well, looks like you're stuck with me again."
I like the fact that there is an advertisement for a cell phone behind him right there.
A little bit. And I love
It's
that
just
look
like,
on his
I don't
face.
know if it's intentional or not, but like that is such a yup, this would have solved everything moment.
Oh my god, you're totally right. That's so crazy. Because this was when cell phones were just in its infancy.
Mm-hmm.
But I do love this montage scene. And again, this is something that only could have been accomplished in the editing room. Because apparently, this scene where, Steve Martin's just going through, because I love the montage here, where he's thinking about his kids, and then he's thinking about his wife, and the pie, and the turkey, and all the things that he's going to be when he gets home. He's thinking about Thanksgiving. This is the things that, as far as humanity goes, it's totally understandable. But apparently this whole bit was completely born out of the editing room, because it was all without Steve Martin ever even knowing the camera was on. His laughter, facial expressions, it all like kind of magically worked for John Hughes, and he was able to find the right edits in there. Because now he's thinking. First he was thinking about his wife, and then how he was thinking about the same thing when he was snuggled up next to him, and he starts putting together all these little crumbs that he's had. And he just finally starts to realize what's going on. Although I do want to know, how the hell did he get back to the exact same station?
Right, and with the train coming the other direction, it's like, no, there's usually double sets of tracks. What is this?
Yeah, because it's like, did he just wait for the train to make its entire loop back around?
Because that would have been a long wait.
Yeah, it would have. Because I've never actually personally ridden any of those trains, but even I'm thinking, like, for such a big city of Chicago, you'd think it would take, like, a really long time to get, all the way back around to where he started.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? I'm willing to forgive it just because the emotional poignancy is so strong here. And this is the moment where you kind of feel where all great acting is born, the where the camera can just feel the idea forming in their head. And that's a sweet idea. Just you know, just like that part where you can just, oh, my wife always makes too much stuffing and turkey. Why don't you come with us? Boy, don't you miss the days where this was your average? This was the average man's house.
I don't think I think he's an advertising exec. I don't think he's an average man at this point.
Well, you know what I mean. Like the standards for living were like ridiculously better in the '80s.
Agreed.
But I think that's the real payoff to this. Like after all, and you know what? I'm really hoping that for everyone for Christmas at the end of this year is that after all the hell and all the pain and all the suffering and all the massive headaches that we've been having this year, that maybe we can finally come home to our family like this. Synth 80s score and all. Okay? Like, just, we deserve this level of melodramatic cheese at the end of the year. You know? Although I'd still, if I were the wife, I'd be like, why the hell didn't you call? That'd be like the first thing out of my line. Like, why the hell didn't you call? You were gone for like 5 days. It's Thanksgiving Day. Where were you?
Right.
But it's okay, because we got a really tender moment here. And I really love that John Candy's expression here is the last shot of the movie. Freeze frame. All important movies end with a freeze frame. All important movies end with a freeze frame, Sean. That's just good cinema, you know.
I'm not having this argument.
Yeah, but it's just, yeah, I always forget. Like, it's a real. It's a comedy and it's fun. It's kind of cartoony at times, but it always kind of Paul Hirsch. It really just it's a wonderful reminder to that how warm this movie is. Because it's the little thing. That's the other thing. Because how the little things add up in the family that make it really great. Same thing with this movie. It's the little things that add up that makes this movie really great. This movie gets it.
I'd agree with that. It's, the it's the gosh, I'm stuttering over here now. It's the movie definitely, it definitely has heart, and I appreciate that. And while there is a lot of comedy in it that is not my style of comedy, it's the heart that comes through that makes the movie what it is. And there's a lot of those, but it's not, because it is a comedy and over the top and ridiculous. It's like those moments have to build, and be put together slowly. And as you were kind of saying with the montage there, I think this whole movie is kind of like just. It's very well put together. I mean, yes, they had a really long working cut, but the editing of this movie is spot on to create a slick, quick, comedic movie.
It's really tight.
Yeah, I do have some issues with where in the world was Dell going? It's like if he doesn't go home, who's traveling around Thanksgiving that doesn't have to?
I honestly, I think he was just traveling. He wasn't. He was. I think he was like, let's I'm gonna go from like New York to Chicago because New York was a really big city. Now I think I'll work Chicago next as far as my salesman. But ultimately, I'm going to be spending the holidays alone. I think that was the mindset that he was, and he just happened to find a friend along in the unlikely character of Neil, and he just decided to tag along a lot more than he was letting on. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, but I don't know. It's just like,
if that was a little bit more clear, yeah.
yeah, because just for me, it's a very odd thing. Like, I don't, um, I mean, I understand he's a salesman and that there's a level of being nomadic with that, but I don't know really any salesmen of that nature who are working, around the holiday. Like, that's gonna always typically be like a 4-day weekend,
Mm-hmm.
particularly for the kind of stuff he's selling. So I'm just like,
Yes.
well, like he's obviously traveling with some level of intent. He had to have somewhere in mind. Like you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't just like, well, I'm just going over here on a prayer. Like, nah, you're going somewhere. And that lack of establishment was always just like, well, that's weird.
Mm.
But
Yeah, it's like a minor thing where it's like the rest of the movie, because that's usually my case for movies. Yeah, you can have like plot holes that you can drive trucks through and whatnot, but if you have enough good stuff, I'm really willing to forgive a lot more, a lot, to be honest.
oh yeah, and it's. I mean, I'll point out issues like that bother me, but I'm not going to say like that ruined the whole movie. Like, no.
Yeah, no, of course not, of course not, and this is really good. But oh my God, you're totally right. Michael McKean is the state trooper, fourth billing in this whole script, and he got like maybe what, a minute tops of screen time.
Yeah, I think like at most like 2 minutes. Like he's barely
Boy,
there.
I really hope someone like working at Paramount or what's left of Paramount in this culture of Disney monopoly. um,
Oof.
yeah, exactly. Like, I hope someone actually manages to dig out like the old deleted scenes and whatnot, and just you don't even have to make, because apparently like it's such a mess of a work print that it would never work. But it'd be fun as like a DVD extra, is like all these deleted scenes and whatnot, because who knows what kind of comedy is out there to be inspired by. Although speaking of really great comedy, there's this really great joke coming up here, because this is when John Hughes was doing the post-credit scenes for his movies. The boss is still trying to decide. Still, 90 minutes later, with his turkey and Thanksgiving dinner there in the boardroom, still trying to decide which one.
I mean, it's a great gag.
Yeah. That's like definitely a note from like Airplane as well, as far as comedy beats go. Just a tiny little detail from the very opening of the movie, and it becomes the post-credit like
Yeah.
gag, like with the taxi driver. He's like, "Well, I've been waiting, but you know what? I'll give him another 20 minutes, but after that, I'm gone." Like,
Right.
I'm pretty sure, like, because like as we mentioned, that's not the only Airplane little thing that was mentioned. So maybe maybe I think John Hughes was like, that Airplane is fucking comic genius, and I'm gonna steal a couple. I'm gonna steal like the most the least talked about jokes from those movies, and I'm gonna put them into my movie.
Well,
So,
I mean, what is what's that old saying? Something like good artists copy, great artists steal.
yes, they do. Because that's something that I've always tried to do in my movies, is like I don't want to capture like copy this beat for beat or anything, but I do want to capture the feel of that, and that's always the right way to go.
I don't know. I think one of the most hilarious things is you end up and this is not necessarily really the time for this at the end of talking about this comedy movie, but it kind of works with what you were talking about with Caribbean from Airplane and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that we've now gotten so far in cinema in the history of it that it's existed, that you'll end up watching a sequence and it's like, well, that sequence is cribbing this sequence, which is cribbing this sequence, which is cribbing this sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can actually just take it all the way back, and those moments are really hilarious. It's like, Oh, look, you're ripping off Frankenstein. Oh,
Yeah.
look, this is ripping off Witness. Oh, look, this is ripping, like, it just keeps
Yeah.
going all the way down. It's just like, oh, wait a minute.
But that's just the evolution of art, folks. So, well, at least, well, I don't know how you feel about watching it the first time around, but how'd you feel about this second time around?
I think it's, I don't know, like, it doesn't hit as harshly because I guess I'm ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really do not like, humor that makes you feel bad for the person. And so there's just going to be moments where I'm just like, yeah, that is not my comedy style at all.
Not your cup of tea.
But
yeah.
then again, I've always felt that, comedies in particular are, I feel they're more social films than
Right.
personal films. And so definitely watching this with someone is more enjoyable. And I think of that nature, it's quite successful. And I think that's how most comedies are.
Yeah.
Because they're designed for laughs and often less story driven, not all the time, but oftentimes. And so being able to share that humor and the reactions with people, I think is an integral part of it.
Oh yeah, dude, totally. There's always those movies out there that are like, they don't do a whole lot for you when you watch them by yourself, but when you watch them with friends or in a theater with a bunch of strangers and whatnot, it can be a really radically different experience. Like, can you imagine like watching like something like as weird and bizarre as like Machete by yourself?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's you'd be like, oh, this is weird, and then when you go see it with like a whole bunch of with the right crowd and such, you have a grand old time, especially if the concessions have booze involved. But yeah, man. As far as me watching it again, it's just like one of those things where I'm like, yeah, even now, there's like these tiny little details that pop out that I haven't really noticed before. Like you said, like the smoking in the back of the car. Like I never saw
and you really only have like those couple moments to catch it because as soon as he rolls his window down, it's gone, as
Yep.
it would be.
Yep, totally. Which is so it's like it just adds to that whole thing because really great movies are often judged by their rewatchability. This one's definitely one, and and it's still really easy to see why it's such a Thanksgiving classic because it is so rewatchable, and to visit it year after year after year, it doesn't really get stale because of those little details that you notice and pop up. And I guarantee you someone back home is like, that fucking handprint on the stain is like the craziest little detail I've never how did I never not notice? I can't unsee it now. Because really, I want to know what the hell was going on. Actually, I don't want to know what was going on in that hotel room. The more I think about it, I don't want to know.
Like, what you really have to think about here, and I think this is the important thing about the handprints, is I think people are making a wrong assumption that they were put up at the same time.
Right. Well, that is a good possibility, but if you look closely, like one hand is the right hand and one's the left.
Right, but like, why would that have to be up there at the same time? Like,
honestly, that just makes it all the more funny. To me, that's just the thing that makes it even more funny. Because like it's funny because you don't know this kind of shit. Like it's kind of like the pussy troll in Clerks 2.
Oh gosh.
Like look, we all know that the pussy troll's not real, but it's funnier because you don't know, because there are all these people in the audience that can tell you what a pussy troll is, and the stuff that they say are going to be 1.5 million times better than any filmmaker could physically put on the screen.
I will say though, I'm much more a fan of the name Lister Fiend.
Yes, absolutely, dude. I think we should probably cap it off. I really hope you guys have enjoyed this time here at Comtrack. Hopefully you've been watching with family, or we've just been your little outlet to escape the insanity that is your family, depending on who you are. But we do hope all of you the best, and this has actually been this Tate's finale. Believe it or not, we're actually going to be taking a break for December, and we're going to be back on New Year's Day with some new movies. We're actually coming back since 2012. Since 2020 has been such a disaster. We're starting off with January with Tate 3 as Disaster Month, and we're going to come at you with some really cool, fun disaster movies and talk to you about then. So we hope like I said, we hope you enjoy. We'll see you all next year come January 1st, New Year's Day. And in the meantime, I've been Tim.
I've been Sean.
And this has been Contract. We'll never have to watch a movie alone again. Peace.